Yes, I am a healer. Please, calm yourselves. I can sense that while your situation is dire, there is nothing that panicking at this point will assist. Please, come in. I see that you have an unconscious person with you. May I assume that they are the reason you have come to me? Very well. Bring them inside and lay them down on that counter over there. Now, before you tell me anything, I need you to understand that I am a healer. I am not a cleric. I do not have magic in my arsenal with which to mend bones and close wounds. My remedies are all natural, and while I might be able to assist you, I cannot promise the types of miracles that a cleric can. That being said, there are no clerics in this town that could help you with your friend here. There are clerics of Oa. They can preside over any funerals or weddings you may bring to them. There are also clerics of Eloise in this town, should you have secret puzzles that you need solved or suspicious persons interrogated. The clerics you want for a wounded comrade are clerics of Seren. And as you know, worship of Seren is strictly forbidden in most of the cities and towns of Povia. He is the god of the dead, after all, and for many superstitious, small-minded folk, that means worship of the undead, which is rarely the case, but there you have it. Seren is actually the god of life and death, and his clerics are adept at healing wounds and curing diseases. But as I said, worship of Seren is forbidden here, so you have me. And you could do worse, much worse. But before I go touting my own abilities, let me have a look at your friend here. I'm not going to lie to you. This is bad. Your friend's arm it's beyond saving. See here? Bone rot has already set in, and it will eat them alive in a matter of days if the arm is not removed. The good news is that I can remove it and clean the wound. I cannot save their arm, but I will save their life. It is your bad luck that you have come to me while my apprentice is out. No doubt they are attempting to woo the scullery maid at the Araman estate in the trade district. I don't blame him, they're both young. But it does mean that your friend is going to rely on you for some of the help they received today. Observe the flowers on this table over here. What do you notice about them? Tell me every detail. Yes, they are white. That is actually the most important feature of this flower, but I will explain it after you have finished your observations. Yes, each flower has 5 petals. This flower is called White Star. The star in the name comes from the 5 points of these thin, white petals. There is another white flower that looks quite similar to this, but which has 6 petals. That flower is called Oscano, and it is a relatively common wildflower in these parts. If you mistake the Oscano for this flower and ingest it, you will be rewarded with nausea and a slight stomachache. What else do you notice? The pistil and stamen are also white, yes. And the entire flower smells like? Correct, nothing. White Star has no scent. There are other flowers that look similar to White Star, but that are scented. Those flowers are called dovetails. You will recognize them by their scent and by the shape of their petals, which are narrower at the base than at the tip. Dovetails can have either 5 or 6 petals, and dovetails are poisonous. Do not confuse them with white star. Why am I teaching you this? Because while I am working here, I am going to need you to go into the forest nearby and find as many more of these as you can. You will not find many, or perhaps even any at all, for white star is exceedingly rare. But that is all right, I'll get to that in a minute. Now that you know what to look for, I will tell you why you are searching for them. When you leave, I will begin by washing my hands with purified water and a strong lye soap. This is because white star is easily polluted. If you ever deal with white star yourself, never touch it with your bare hands unless they have been so cleansed. Ensure you rinse off all of the soap and then dry your hands with a clean, dry towel made of raw silk. White star petals must be plucked from the stem. Only the petals are used, so you must be careful. Once they are plucked, grind them in a clean mortar and pestle. I have a special mortar and pestle that I use for nothing else, as even a few grains of another plant can pollute white star and reduce its effectiveness. Once the petals are ground to a fine paste, the paste is mixed with 3 drops of nut oil, I prefer almond or walnut oil, and 3 to 5 drops of goat's milk. This can then be drunk or brushed onto the tongue of an unconscious recipient. Do not add the goat's milk until the recipient is ready to take the concoction. Once the milk is added, it must be used within 1 hour, or the milk fat will spoil the white star. As your friend here is ready now, I will add the goat's milk immediately once I get to that point. Before that, however, I must clean the wound as best I can. White star is only effective for about an hour or 2, depending on the dose, so the more I can take care of before administering it, the better. And I suppose this is as good a time as any to discuss my fee. From what I have already observed, doing what needs to be done will cost you 35 silver pieces. This fee covers the cost of cleaning the wound, administering the drug, removing their damaged arm, and sealing the shoulder so that it does not itself become infected. Yes, I am aware that this is more expensive than a simple healing spell, but as I pointed out, such magic relies on illegal worship of a god, so you will not find such a spell available here. When imbibed, the white star temporarily paralyzes the recipient, as well as rendering them unconscious. These effects last for between 1 and 2 hours, depending on the size of the leaves. The potion assumes that all 5 leaves of the flower are used and that only 1 flower is used at a time. Multiple doses can be given to a recipient as the effects wear off, but it is important that they be given only 1 dose at a time. Too much white star can cause permanent paralysis. In addition to paralyzing the recipient, white star blocks their ability to feel pain. Damaged or diseased limbs can be removed under the effect of white star with no additional trauma experienced by the recipient. Those who have used it report feeling nothing while under its effects. As you can imagine, this makes white star highly sought after by healers of all kinds. And the use of white star is the majority of my fee. You have probably never seen white star before now, and there is a good reason why. White star is subject to a common type of mold. This mold changes the color of the leaves as well as their properties. This is why it is so important to wash your hands only with purified water when handling white star. The mold turns the flower petals gray. The more infected with mold the flower, the darker the petals become. When tainted in this way, the flower can either have uniform gray petals, or they can be white spotted with gray. The uniform flowers are called gray star, while the spotted ones are called ash star, but there truly is no difference between them. Ash star no longer paralyzes its recipient, nor does it completely block pain. It does, however, lessen pain. Unlike white star, ash star leaves are effective if chewed. One ash star flower can reduce pain for up to 4 hours, depending on how much of the mold is present and how the ash star is prepared. The darker the leaves, the less effective the painkiller. Lest you think that dark ash star is worthless, however, I must assure you that it too has its uses. While the darker ash star is less effective at stopping pain, it actually becomes more effective at creating a sense of euphoria when ingested. This euphoria has been described as a kind of weightless feeling and a sense of disconnectedness with the body. Personally, I believe it to be a modified version of the numbing agent present in white star. It lasts between 1 and 3 hours depending on concentration and how the flower is prepared. The point I am making is that gray star is important regardless of its coloration, and I will need you to go and gather as much of it as you can find. When your friend awakens, they will need it to manage their pain over the next few days. Though they will not feel it in the moment, and although I will be using a scalpel and not an axe, I am still cutting off their arm. Now, as you may have guessed, there is a version of this flower called black star as well. These flowers have become saturated with the mold and have turned completely black. At this point, the flower no longer possesses any numbing or pain-killing properties. However, black star is a powerful hallucinogen. Again, the leaves can be chewed or they can be pulverized and the oil mixed with a carrier oil. Black star does not require milk fat to absorb into a person's system, however, the mold absorbs quite quickly on its own. Black star oil is said to produce more potent hallucination than chewed leaves, something to do with the saliva reacting with the pulp or the mold itself, I imagine. But then I have not done much research into black star. I know that it is illegal in many kingdoms, including this one, though it's hard to regulate because ash star will turn into black star given enough time, and ash star is easy enough to find in the wild. Some religions use black star to better commune with their gods. These ceremonies are strictly controlled, and only a chosen few are allowed to partake in the flower's oil at these times. I've never sat in on one of these ceremonies, but I did prepare black star oil for one once. A single drop of concentrated oil is enough to cause hallucinations lasting up to 4 hours. Mixed with a carrier oil, the hallucinations are no less intense, but they last around 2 hours instead of 4. Mixing with a carrier oil allows up to 5 people to partake per flower, rather than just 1 or 2. To my knowledge, every race is susceptible to black star hallucinations. It can be ingested or it can be applied to the eyes or the inside of the nose and still be effective. By contrast, white star must be ingested. Ash star can be taken the same ways as black star. It can also be applied topically to a wound to dull pain. but it does not work as strongly when applied directly to a wound. It is worth noting that while orcs do feel the effects of these different mixtures, they require them in larger doses to have any effect. Male orcs typically require 1.5 times the dose a human would require, while female orcs require twice the amount a human would. One might think that because of their small stature, Misatani would require smaller doses for equal effect, but for reasons unknown, well, unknown to me at least, they require the same doses as a human, dwarf, elova, or goblin. I tell you all of this because I need you to find Ash Star and White Star if you can, but not Black Star. You may keep that last for yourself if you find any. There is no market for that drug in this town, and I don't need the contraband in my shop. So, do you have any questions about White Star or any of its derivatives? Ah, a fine question. The mold that taints the leaves is common, so much so that it is believed to be the same mold that infects bread when it gets wet. Nobody is sure of its exact origin or even how it travels, though it is believed to travel on the currents of damp air. Dampness is the key, otherwise there would be no untainted White Star left. Ah, another shrewd question. Yes, Ash Star can, in sufficient quantities, cause paralysis the same as White Star. However, it requires many more of the flowers to achieve the same effects. Thankfully, the mortal body does not seem to suffer from overdose of Ash Star, meaning that you can give a subject large quantities of the less effective plant without worrying about poisoning them. Sadly, a mortal being can overdose on Black Star. Doing so damages the mind and makes permanent the hallucinations the plant brings on. Certain mystical seers have been known to willingly overdose on Black Star to bring them closer to their deities, but those who do typically see terrifying visions as opposed to benign ones. That is enough questions for now. I need to begin preparations to work on your friend here, and you need to go out and gather Ash Star for when they awaken. You can take that basket with you to collect the flowers. Remember, pluck them from the base of the stem and do not touch the petals. Good luck in your search. Now you, my friend, let's see about that arm.